Hi students, today we are going to start new chapter real numbers. Okay, so before going to the chapter real numbers, we just discuss the concepts from ninth standard. Some concepts from ninth standard. So before going to that, we should understand what are natural numbers, what are whole numbers, what are integers, rational numbers, and irrational numbers. So these are the topics which we are going to discuss now. Anyway, this is already you studied in ninth standard. So now what are natural numbers? Natural numbers are the numbers which starts from 1, right? 1, 2, 3, and so on. Correct? So then what are whole numbers? Whole numbers are the numbers which starts from 0. Okay. And what are integers? Integers are the numbers which starts from, like, negative numbers means negative numbers, positive numbers, including 0, we call it as integers. So natural numbers, so why do we call them as natural numbers? Remember, why do we call them as natural numbers? Have you thought about it? Why we should call it natural numbers? Correct? So, it is called as natural numbers. The reason is we can count using fingers. Naturally, it will come. Naturally we will count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, we can count using your fingers. So, that's the reason the name came as natural numbers. Okay. Next, whole numbers. What are these whole numbers called as? See, before this, like Aryabhatta discovered 0, we were using only the numbers 1, 2, 3, and so on. Correct. But we do not have 0. So when Aryabhatta came into existence, means he discovered 0, then we included 0 in the number system. That's how this whole numbers came into existence, which are starts from 0. See, what is the difference between natural numbers and whole numbers? In whole numbers, 0 will be there. In natural numbers, 0 is not there. That is the only difference between whole numbers and natural numbers. So what are integers? Integers are nothing but including, see, we are including the positive numbers, we are including the negative numbers and 0. So those, all the numbers included, we call them as integers. Now, coming to the rational numbers. So, what are rational numbers? See, rational numbers are the numbers which can be written in P by Q form. A number which can be written in P by Q form is called a rational number. This you already studied in ninth standard. So, why it is considered as a rational number? Why it cannot be considered as a natural number? Remember, your Q, the number which can be written in P by Q form. These numbers also can be written in P by Q form. It means even they are also included in rational numbers. That we will discuss next. P by Q. For example, you have 1 by 2. 1 by 2 can be written as 0.5. Got it? 1 by 2 can be written as 0.5. Correct? So 1 by 4 can be written as 0.25. Correct? So 1 by 2, you will get exact answer 0.5. 3 by 4, you will get exact answer 0.75. Correct? This is a proper answer. It is not an approximate answer. So 1 by 2, you can divide 1 with 2. Similarly, you can divide 3 with 4. So this is possible. Correct? So this can be written in P by Q form, which you will get a terminated decimal. And you studied in ninth standard what is terminating decimal and non-terminating decimal. So these are the terminated decimals. So you will get the perfect answer. So 1 by 2 is in P by Q form, 3 by 4 is in P by any number which can be written in P by Q form is considered as a rational number. Remember, in this one condition is there, Q will not be equal to 0. If Q is equal to 0, why Q is not equal to 0? If Q is 0, the whole term or whole thing will become infinite, so which is not defined. Except Q is equal to 0, you can take any number. Got it? Any number you can use over there, or you can take it. No problem. So now, what is irrational number? Correct. You will get one more, you may get one doubt. So you are telling 1 by 2 is a rational number, 3 by 4 as a rational number. So this 0, 1, 2, 3, minus 3, minus 2 are the rational numbers? Yes. They are also considered as rational numbers. Because easy thing I will tell you to remember, minus 3 can be written as minus 3 by 1. So which can be written in P by Q form. Similarly, minus 2 can be written as minus 2 by 1, which can be written in P by Q form. So these numbers also can be written in P by Q form. So that's the reason they are also included in, okay, rational numbers. And one more explanation I can give for that, okay. So yeah, obviously number line, if you consider number line, okay, you'll be having 0 here, minus infinity, sorry, plus infinity, minus infinity to the left hand side. So here, all the numbers, for example, 1, 2, 3, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, any number in between. See, 1 by 2 comes here, correct? 3 by 4 will come here. I'm just giving an example. So all these numbers are considered as rational numbers, including this 1, 2, 3. If you, I hope if I explained the number line, you can understood that's the reason I wrote numbers. Everything which comes under, between that and including those numbers are also considered as rational numbers. Then what are irrational numbers? Okay, there will be a question again. What are irrational numbers? See, irrational numbers we denote with Q dash. Okay, so irrational numbers are basically the numbers which cannot be written in the P by Q form. It's very easy to remember. See, a number which can be written in P by Q form is a rational number. A number which cannot be written in the P by Q form is an irrational number. Okay, so you can ask me, sir, numbers are also there which cannot be written in P by Q form. Yes, there are some numbers which cannot be written in P by Q form. For example, we have one. You might be knowing this pi. You are familiar with this. So we are doing some, like area of square, area of circle, especially area of circle, area of sphere, surface area of sphere, or the volume of sphere. So in these cases, you use pi. So what is this pi? Even pi also discovered by our Indian mathematician who is called, and everybody knows, Aryabhatta, right? Aryabhatta discovered pi. So why pi is irrational? Because pi value we will take it as, sometimes we will take it as 22 by 7, sometimes we will take it as 3.14, isn't it? We will take, depends on the sum, we will take the value. Okay, so 22 by 7, this number, can we write this 22 by 7 can you divide 22 with 7? If you divide 22 with 7, you will get a non-terminating decimal like this. Just assumption I'm doing, if one, maybe you might get 0.142 something, some numbers will get. But if can you stop the division? It is not possible. So 22 by 7 is not equal to 3.14. 22 by 7 is approximately equal to 3.14. See the difference, okay? Approximately equal to 3.14, exactly equal to 0. See, 1 by 2 is exactly equal to 0.5. We don't have any other number. 0.5 is only the answer. But 22 by 7 is approximately equal to 3.14, not equal to 3.14. So it means pi cannot be written in P by Q form. So this is considered as irrational number. Remember, a number which can be written in P by Q form is called rational number. A number which cannot be written in P by Q form is called irrational number. So then what are real numbers? So because our topic is real numbers, right? So real numbers are nothing but all the sets of the numbers which we have. Natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, rational numbers, irrational numbers, including all this, we call it as irrational numbers. Sorry, real numbers. So real numbers includes natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, rational numbers, and irrational numbers. Okay? I hope you understood what are real numbers. So now we will just discuss. We will come to the actual topic, which is Euclid's division lemma. Okay? Euclid's division lemma. So basically, Euclid's division lemma is, you might be knowing, which is called division of polynomials in the last class, which is 9th standard. You studied what is division of polynomials. So in division of polynomials, what we do, for example, let me take 17,6. Okay, 17,6. If you start dividing 17,6, how you divide it? Okay, how you divide 17 and 6? Can we divide 17 with 6? Yes, it is possible. You can divide 6 with 17. Yes, you can divide 6 with 17, and you can also divide 6 with 17 with 6. So always prefer 17 is greater than 6, correct? So always divide greater number with a smaller number, okay? Because you will not get any decimal point. So 6 twos are 12, and we will get remainder as 5. So that means here 6 is divisor and 17 is dividend and 2 is quotient and 5 is remainder. Okay, these are the things which you already know. I'm just recapping. So 17 can be written as, okay, 17 can be written as 6 into 2 plus 5. 17 can be written as 6 into 2 plus 5. So this, remember, 17, you can mean 17 you divided with 6 so that you got remainder as 5. So I'll just assume A as 17, B as 6, Q as 2, R as 5. It means I'm writing in a general form. So this can also be written as A is equal to BQ plus R, whereas Q is always considered as quotient, R is remainder, and A is dividend, B is divisor. So I am writing in a general form, which is A is equal to BQ plus R. Got it? So A is considered as dividend, B is considered as divisor, Q is considered as quotient, and R is remainder. Okay, you can just do this with another sum also. Let me take one more, 12 comma 5. So in 12 comma 5, how can we write 12 comma 5? So 12 is equal to, okay, let me divide and explain to you. 5 twos are 10, 2 is the remainder. So can I write 5 is equal to, what is dividend here? What they are taken? Dividend they are taken here. So dividend is, division you take as 12. 12 is equal to 5 into 2 plus 2. Can you write like this? So which is in the form of A equal to BQ plus R. Okay. So what is this division lemma? It is, remember, don't get confused with this. Division, Euclid's division lemma is same as what you studied in 9th standard, which is dividend is equal to divisor into quotient plus remainder. Okay, so this is this like expressing and like two numbers. For example, if you have two numbers, you can express this two numbers in this format. It means, for example, if they are given 12 comma 5, so it means 12 can be expressed as 5 into 2 plus 2, which is nothing but A is equal to BQ plus R. This format, whatever we are getting, A is equal to BQ plus R, we are expressing, that is called as Euclid's division lemma. Lemma is nothing but a proven statement. Anyway, this is not that much required for you guys. Proven statement. Okay, a statement which is already proved, we are using here. Step by step we are using. So first, this is actually the same step which will be continued, that I will tell. So A is equal to BQ plus R. It means some numbers they will give, you have to express them in the form of A is equal to BQ plus R. So this expression, expressing that the given sum or the given two numbers division format is considered as Euclid's division lemma. So see, this is not something which is different to you, which is not known to you, which you already studied in 9th. The same thing we are doing, but we are giving some other name, which is Euclid's division lemma. There we said, you remember, while we doing verification of a polynomial in the division of polynomials, we used to verify this. LHS is equal to RHS. It means when you do divisor into quotient plus remainder, you should get dividend back. So if you are getting the dividend back, whatever the sum, whatever the quotient and remainder we got, they are correct. If you are not getting, they are incorrect. So the same thing we are using here, but it is actually done by Euclid. So that's the reason the name came as Euclid's uh, division lemma. Okay, and why this is used? Okay, and why this is used, I will explain to you where we use and all those things. And one more thing you have to understand here about remainder. Okay, R is considered as remainder, right? As we told, Q is considered as quotient, R is considered as remainder. So here, whenever you divide, have you observed this? Whenever which, for example, 17 you are dividing with 6. Okay, max to max you will get remainder. Always remember you can get remainder as 0. You can get remainder as 1, 2, 3, 4. But remainder should not be less than the divisor. Okay? Sorry, remainder should be less than divisor. It means I'll just write and show here. 0 less than or equal to R, which is less than or equal to, like we can write divisor, whatever it is. What is divisor here? B. Correct? So, yeah, in this case, divisor is B. Your remainder should be between, it may be 0. For example, here 6 is there, right? Your remainder may be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 itself. It should not even be 6. Okay? Remainder may be 0, remainder may be 1, 2, 3, 4. For example, here 5 is there. So your remainder may be 0 to 4. It cannot be even 5. It may be equal to 0, but it cannot be equal to 5. Means your remainder value should lie between 0 and the divisor. Lie between in the sense it is not equal to the divisor, less than the divisor. Example I already had given. For 5 you can get remainders as 0 to 4. For 6 you can get 0 to 5. For 7 you get 0 to 6. So like this depends on the divisor remainders you might get. Okay, this is one condition you should understand. Okay, now let me explain how do you use this Euclid's division lemma. Lemma, as I told you, proven statement, right? Euclid's division lemma means it is a proven statement. Okay, now then what is this algorithm? I'll just discuss Euclid's division lemma. We know similarly Euclid's division algorithm. See, algorithm is nothing but we are applying this Euclid's division lemma in each and every step. So that application of Euclid's division lemma in every step is considered as Euclid's division algorithm. Same thing. It means, for example, you have A is equal to BQ plus R. The same process we are doing each and every step. Correct. So that becomes a process. Correct. So that is how it considered as Euclid's division algorithm. Algorithm means same work you are doing, in the different steps. Correct. Coming to school. Correct. You come to school every day. Imagine you just leave Saturday, Sunday. Don't include Saturday, Sunday. Or sometimes you know that till Saturday you will come till 1 o'clock. So that is your daily work. Same process you are doing every day, right? So you're doing every day, whatever the process you're doing every day, that is the algorithm, right? Algorithm in the sense it's a process. Same process repeated every time. So Euclid's division lemma, there's a process. What is that process? We are converting a divisor into, like, dividend is equal to divisor into quotient plus remainder. We are taking two numbers. We are checking which is lesser with, we are dividing the bigger number with lesser number, and we are expressing that whatever the format. In this format we are expressing. The same work we are doing every time, repeatedly we are doing. That's the reason it is called as Euclid's division algorithm. Anyway, I'll just explain with the help of a sum so that you can easily understand why, what is it, Euclid's division. So remember, this Euclid's division algorithm is used to find HCF. Okay. Before going to that, you should know what is HCF. HCF is nothing but highest common factor. Alright? HCF is called as highest common factor. See, name itself will tell you highest common factor. It means a factor which is common in the numbers. Means we are taking the factor which is common Okay, which is common in the, for example, we have any example you can take. For example, we will take some 2 comma 3. Okay, so 2 and 3, 2 can be written as 2 into 1, 3 can be written as 3 into 1. See, it is, maybe it is like, little technical. You have to just think upon it. 2 can be written as 2 into 1, 3 can be written as 3 into 1. Tell me which is common here. 1. So we are taking the number which is common. Correct. So 1 is the HCF. I hope you understood. So 2 can be written as 2 into 1. So 3 can be written as 3. Every number, 1 is the common factor. Correct. If here in this case 1 is the common factor. So this is called as HCF of 2 and 3. Let me take one more example. 2 comma 6 let me take. Okay. So yeah, or we can take better, we'll take some example which is 15 comma 18. Okay, 15 can be written as 3 into 5. 8 can be written as 2 into 3 into 18 can be written as 2 into 3 into 3. Correct. So in these two terms, tell me which is common. You can easily tell 3 is the common. Correct. So that is actually what we did. We just written 15 in terms of prime factors. Anyway, we will discuss more in the next session. I'm just giving an example for HCF. You should understand what is HCF first. Okay, and you might have studied this LCM HCF in 7th standard. I don't know how much you remember. I'm just recapping it. So 15 can be written as 3 into 5. 18 can also be written as 2 into 3 into 3. So in these two expansions, or in these two expansion of these two numbers, we have 3 as a common, correct, common factor. So 3 is considered as HCF. Remember that 3 should be common in both. Okay, here it is there, here it is not there, it cannot be considered as common. So HCF means common factor, which is highest common factor. So this highest common factor, we are going to find it using Euclid's division algorithm. So how we do that? Okay, let me take one sum to explain you. Find the HCF of the number is 135 and 225. Numbers are 135 and 225. Okay, first step. First we have to check which is greater. Correct? Which is greater? In this, 225 is greater than 135. So first you have to divide. Anyway, division no need to specify here. You just divide separately. 225 with 135. So how many times 135 it will go with 225? Can I write 135 ones are? So what do you get? 0. Okay. So 22 minus 13. How much you will get? 4. No, I think 90 you will get, because 13 plus 9 is 22. So 90 will be the answer. Correct. So first we'll apply Euclid's division algorithm, first step. So we applied first step here. Correct. For these two numbers. First and foremost thing, what you should do, you should check which is greater. For example, they are given two numbers. To find the HCF of two numbers, we are applying Euclid's division algorithm. How to apply, I am explaining here. First, we have to take two numbers, what they are given. In that, which is the greater number we have to take, which is 225. So divide the greater number with the other number, smaller number. So now what I said, what is considered as A, dividend. So 225 is equal to B into Q. It means 135 into quotient. Quotient is 1, remainder is 90. This is the first step you have to do. What I did, first I taken, just divided the 335 and just written in the form of A is equal to BQ plus R. What is A? Dividend. B is divisor. Q, name Q itself is, you can easily understand, Q for quotient, R for remainder. So we just written in that A is equal to BQ plus R. Next, step 2. Okay, step 2. What is step 2? Here you just consider divisor, and this is what? B, and this is R. Let me write here. Okay. Next, take B and R. Okay. It means what are B and R here? B is 135, 90. Correct? So B and R you take. Apply the same lemma, same process for this Euclid's division. Which is greater here? 135 is greater. So divide 135 with 90. So how many times it is? 90. Ones are 90 and you will get 45. Because 9 plus 4 is 13, isn't it? So you will get 45. So apply the same algorithm here, same Euclid's algorithm. So what do you get? 135 is equal to, step 2 it is, 135 is equal to 90 into 1 plus 45. Correct? So this is B, this is Q, this is R, and this is A. Correct? A is dividend, B is quotient, divisor, and Q is quotient, and R is remainder. So now, here again we should take B and R. Should be very careful with this, you should take B and R. Okay? So B is greater than R. 90 is greater than 44. Again you apply the same step. Step 3. So 90, you are dividing 90 with 45. So which is 45 2s are 90. Correct? So we got 0 as remainder. Write like this. 45 into 2 plus 0. Okay? You can write 90 as 45 into 2 plus 0. Got it? So now, here we got 0 as the remainder. Remember, you can stop this algorithm, whatever the process you are doing, you can stop when you get 0. Until you get 0, you have to continue the same process. Okay? You have to continue the same process until you get 0. Remember this carefully. Okay? I hope you understood what I said. Okay? Until you get 0, you have to continue the same process. Oh, in this case, we got 0 at this step. Which step? 90 is equal to 45 into 2 plus 0. Here, so what will be the HCF? HCF will be the, where you get 0. Last step we got 0. Where you got 0, just underline the step or box it up. And what is the divisor in this case? Okay, remember divisor. Divisor, what you got? This is quotient, correct? Quotient you will never take. You should take only divisor. What is the divisor you got? At the last step where you got remainder 0, the divisor is considered as HCF. Okay, I hope you understood what I said. The divisor, what you got at the last step where you got remainder of 0, in that step, divisor is considered as your HCF. I'll just explain once again. This is little first you may feel little difficult. Later, once you do 2 or 3 sums, it will be easily, you can just continue with the sums. It will not be that much difficult also. Okay. The question is, see, usually why we use this Euclid's division algorithm? See, Euclid's division algorithm is used to find HCF. HCF of 2 numbers. It may be for 3 numbers also. That also we will see in the next session. So basically, what is this Euclid's division algorithm? Euclid's division algorithm is nothing but applying the Euclid's division lemma. It means A is equal to BQ plus R in all the steps. So when you apply the same process repeatedly, we are doing that repeatedly. That's why the name came as Euclid's division algorithm. Algorithm is nothing but successive applications. The name algorithm is nothing but same application we are doing in each and every step. Okay. So first we will do one sum based on that. So find HCF of 135 and 225. Okay, it is understood by using Euclid's division algorithm. They will clearly specify by using Euclid's division algorithm, find the HCF of 135, 225. So how do you find? First step, first and foremost thing you have to do is just check which is the greater number, either 225 or 135. We know that 225 is greater than 135. So take 225. Okay, and divide 225 with 135. So you divided, you got 135 ones are 135, you got remainder is 90. Okay, so express this in the form of A is equal to BQ plus R. What is A? I said A is considered as dividend, B is considered as divisor, Q is considered as quotient. I'll write once again dividend, remainder, sorry, divisor, and Q name itself you can say quotient and remainder. Correct. This is how you have to remember. A is equal to BQ plus R. We have to write this in this form. Okay. So 225 is equal to 135 into 1 plus 90. Now, you have to apply the same step. How can you apply the same step? What numbers? We need two numbers to take to proceed with the next step. What are those two numbers? Take 135 and 90. The next, the same process you apply for these two numbers. 135 and 90, which is the higher number? So 135. So the 135 greater than 90. So divide 90, like 135 with 90. So what we got? 90 into 1 plus 45. So again you take B and R. So 90 is greater than 45. So 90 can be written as 45 into 2 plus 0. You stop when you get remainder as 0. Means you have to continue until you get 0. Remember that until you get 0, you have to continue the same process. Okay? You will never stop until you get 0. Once you stop, means you got remainder as 0. Okay? After, like ending the procedure or algorithm, how can you say which is HCF? See, usually the students will make a mistake. They will take 2 as HCF. Remember, at the last step where you got 0 as a remainder, in that step, what is the divisor? What is the divisor in this step? 45. So that 45 is considered as HCF, not 2. Usually the mistake, I'm just telling what students will do. So don't take 2 as HCF. Remember, divisor in the last step. Okay, which is 45, that is considered as HCF. So HCF of 135 and 225 is 45. Okay, let me explain this Euclid's division algorithm with one more sum. Okay, find the HCF of, we just take one more example, 15 and 135. Same process, 15 and 135. So what is the HCF of 15 and 135? So now, first, what is the first step we have to do? We have to consider which is greater. So 135 is greater than 15, right? So now apply the step 1 here. What is step 1? We have to divide 135 with 15. So division and all, you don't show in the working. You can just do it in the rough, like you can just do it in the other side, right? The right hand side of your classwork. Okay, 15 nines are 130, correct? 15 nines are 135. So here you see 135 can be written as 135 is the dividend, 15 is the divisor, 9 is the quotient, and 0 is the remainder. So 135 is equal to 15 into 9 plus 0. So here what is the, what you understood in this case? See, there we got 0 at third step. In this sum, we got 0 at the first step itself. No problem. Some cases you will get in the first step itself. Okay, some problems you might get in second step, some problems you might get in 10th step. So the same process you are repeating, correct? So when you got this 0 at the last step, so what we can consider, what is the HCF here? In this step, divisor is considered as HCF. So HCF is 15. So what is the HCF now? 15. Guys, remember, divisor is HCF, not quotient. So HCF of 15 and 135 is 15. Okay, that is the highest common factor in for these two numbers. Okay, I'll just explain this once again. It's an easy sum actually. Find the HCF of 15 and 135. To apply the Euclid's division algorithm, what we should check? We should check which is greater, which is smaller. So 135 is greater than 15. So divide 135 with 15. So you divide it. So what you got? 9 you got as quotient and 0 you got as remainder. So write in A is equal to BQ plus R format. So 135 is equal to 15 into 9 plus 0, which is, because in this case we got 0 at in first step itself. So you can stop doing that. Correct. Stop applying Euclid's division algorithm. Once you get 0 as a remainder. So once you get 0 as a remainder, what is HCF? The divisor in that step. What is divisor here? So 15. So 15 is the HCF of 135 and 15. That's all. I hope I made you understood this Euclid's division algorithm. Okay. Thank you. And please comment, share, like, and subscribe to our channel. Have a great day.